Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel as we continue today our look at all FCS conferences. And what better time to do it is we're getting into round 2 of the FCS playoffs. Montana's set to play. I mean, this video is going up at 9 a.m., but I gotta wait till 8 p.m. Central Time for this game. So then let's go ahead and discuss the Patriot League. An FCS conference, as you might imagine, is kind of more in the eastern part of the United States. This conference actually has only 8 official members for football, but we are going to discuss 12 logos today, and to kind of clear that up as to why. There are 10 full members in the Patriot League. We're going to talk about all 10 of those, plus 2 that are associate members. That's going to be Georgetown and Fordham University that are in other conferences for most of their other sports, but for football specifically, they play in the Patriot League. However, American University, Boston University, and Loyola University of Maryland do not have football programs, but I am still going to include them because those 3 schools, as mentioned, are part of the full membership. And to add to this as well, Navy is a full member in the Patriot League, except for football. They are an FBS independent. Army is also a full member in the Patriot League. However, beginning in 2024, they will be playing in the American Athletic Conference. Kind of weird, kind of tricky, but I hope that makes sense, and I hope that kind of clears things up. Let's go ahead and get into it today. As always, we're going to start with what I consider the worst logo, going into number 1, which is the best. And again, these are all just my opinion, so if you don't agree, that's cool. And if you agree, that's also pretty cool. Just let me know down in the comments which logos and schools that we're going to discuss today are among your favorite. Let's go ahead and get started. At number 12, this is going to give us Boston University, home of the Terriers, who historically, if we look at some of their logos that they've used in the past, have never really quite figured out what exactly they want for their Terrier. Their current version is kind of like the Scrappy-Doo of dog logos in college football. It's trying to be tough, but it's not quite getting there for me. And you pile that onto the fact that he's kind of standing in front of a gigantic BU, which makes him look all the smaller. He just looks tiny compared to the big block lettering behind him. And then we just have a whole lot of text going on with a big BU and a scrunched Boston University that you can barely read down underneath the very bottom there. Doesn't make for a great overall logo. It's just trying to do too much. So sorry, Boston University. Doesn't make them a bad school. This is a very great school, actually, you know, with a really proud and historic athletic department. But this logo isn't doing a whole lot for me, and neither is number 11, American University, also who does not have a football program. So again, maybe these first 2 sort of kind of don't count a little bit, but we're going to talk about them anyway, because BU and AU, the American Eagles that we're looking at here, are full members in the Patriot League for all sports. They just don't have a football program. So no big deal. American, I mean, it's in DC. It's kind of a given that red, white, and blue are going to be the colors, but this works really well, especially the red trim around the outside kind of ties everything together really nicely. And overall, I don't necessarily dislike it, but the only thing that's kind of losing me, kind of what we saw with Boston University, we have American, very text-heavy banner kind of thrown instead of being under, which Boston University was. This is kind of over the U, and so it kind of makes it so a little bit more difficult to read the U. I just don't think we need that American banner stretched over the top. I think this would look a whole lot nicer and would be a lot stronger, and I would put it a couple spots higher, actually, if it was just an AU. I think that just looks nicer, and the American kind of brings it down a little bit. And if we look at some of these old logos for the American Eagles, I mean, 2008 called and they want their wardrobe back. Full disclosure, that is the first of 2 very similar and very stupid jokes that I'm going to make today, so get ready for that. At number 10, we've got the Fordham Rams. Pretty strong logo. We're actually kind of moving in a much better direction and getting into logos that I like. I really like the ram head that we can see hanging out on the side of the F for Fordham. Although historically, I've appreciated some of the older Rams that they've used. Love that maroon color. Very strong look there to it, with a nice white and black trim on the outside. But where this is kind of losing me, and the reason that I have it ranked a little lower than some of these other logos that we're going to be seeing, this kind of looks like to me that F could potentially be a T that Ram's head is blocking. It's making my brain itch in a way that I can't quite scratch, and it just comes across as a bit unsatisfying in a way. And if you didn't know that this school was named Fordham, or was a university that started with an F, and you didn't know that was an F, you might maybe think, and this could be just a bit of a stretch, again, just a me thing, that is supposed to be a T in the background that's being cut off by the ram head. I just can't unsee it. I'm so sorry. I know that's not necessarily fair to Fordham here. I really like this school and this logo overall, but that's just something I can't unlook at. I have to move on. Let's take it to number 9 as we crack the top 10. This is Colgate. Very similar color to what we just saw with Fordham, and very simple too, with just a C kind of horseshoe shaped. And full disclosure, this is the first of a short string of logos that we're going to look at that is just a simple letter representing the school. This isn't a bad logo. In fact, it reminds me of one of the most iconic logos in the NHL for the Montreal Canadiens. We can look at like some older and alternate logos, and yeah, historically this just hasn't really done it for me. I think that this works well by being simple and not trying too much, but I do kind of reward a little bit more creativity for some of these logos, especially something that incorporates a element of the mascot logo. This is the Colgate Raiders, and I don't see any Raiders. And pretty much the exact same thing can be said for Loyola University of Maryland here. This is home to the Greyhounds, and I don't see no Greyhounds or anything that resembles the mascot. Again, that's not always a bad thing. We do see some alternate logos that actually use the Greyhound. I love this one over here. This would be ranked a few spots higher if this was the primary logo that Loyola University was using. Instead, they're just using a big L, and I don't think this logo is taking an L, even though that's all the logo is, because the colors are great, and I actually like them a little bit better than Colgate, which is why I have it ranked a little higher, really. That's the only thing that kind of gives it the nod. It does have a little serif up there at the top of the L that kind of adds a little bit more of like a rhythm and a flow. It kind of looks like it's going off towards the left, stage left or whatever, you know, it has a little bit more energy and flow to it. Last but not least, for this kind of string that we're on, let's go ahead and look at the Georgetown Hoyas. This is the best of the three that we're talking about here with Colgate, Loyola, and Georgetown, truly because I feel that this just has the most prestige of the three. Like, this logo has been around for a long time. I think that we as college athletic fans have gotten used to seeing this. Again, this is a school that doesn't have a football team, but they have just a very historic and renowned basketball team. And this logo has been around for quite a while. We've been seeing it for a long time, and it looks very professional. And it also has just like some really nice strokes going on and some serifs within that G that kind of give it this a little bit more kind of historical and stately, stoic look to it. And I'm a big fan, although I do enjoy the actual Hoya logo, which is like a bulldog. I think historically those have always looked a lot more interesting and are kind of what I associate with their athletic department more than just their G. This is what I think of when I think of just the school as a university, as an academically excellent institute. I think of this G, but when I'm thinking of their athletics, I think more of the bulldog. As it is, this primary G, it works well for me. It's quite strong. At number 6, let's go ahead and take a look at something like different for a change. I'm tired of looking at just simple letters. Here's something wildly different. This is the Bucknell Bison, which is a logo unlike many that we've seen or discussed on this channel, solely for its use of just a bright, vibrant orange matched with just some nice white and blue. It's not a color combination we see a ton, especially across this channel. We haven't really explored or talked about logos with this color, and this looks fantastic. Like, this pops. I love the way this looks with the bison popping out of the text. He's going somewhere, he's charging, he's getting there fast, like he's ready to just stomp over the competition. It's kind of one of those things where I'm like, I don't know what I want exactly, because the thing I'm about to say kind of contradicts what we were saying with some of these other logos that we just talked about, where they were like really simple. I think that this could benefit from simplicity. This just feels a little too much going on. I think the best version of this program that I've seen is just this simple B with the bison behind it charging forward. I think that that's just a little bit more toned down. It has the best of both worlds in that we can see what university we're talking about. It's got the letter to represent that, but it's also got the mascot with a lot of intensity and ferociousness. I really like the chaoticness of this, but it is just kind of doing a little too much, and I would appreciate it more if it were stripped down a little bit. And we will definitely see a theme for that kind of vibe going into our top 5 here, beginning with Navy, the midshipmen. Ooh, I know I'm gonna upset some people that were waiting to see this one. We're about a week away from Army Navy, and without knowing what comes next with numbers 4, 3, 2, and 1. Already Army is winning the logo battle. In my heart of hearts, I am Navy over Army all day, every day. My dad and like every single one of my uncles essentially was in the Navy. So I'm a big Navy supporter, and I am a supporter of this logo. It's got the star over there in the corner, which is a big piece of iconography, not even just for the Navy, but you know, kind of service schools as a whole. We kind of saw something like that we were talking about in a video just a couple weeks ago with the Citadel, had a big star right in the middle of a C. The star is kind of like a very important aspect when we're talking about like our military academies and service academies and military colleges. We need to have that star, and we do see it up there in the corner. And that's kind of where I think the story should end with this logo. It should be a big, bold N for Navy with the star up there. call it a day. That's all we need. Get rid of the navy at the text at the bottom, and we're in the right direction. Some older logos that they've used in the past have been some of my favorite logos of all time. The midshipman goat is goated quite literally as being one of the greatest logos of all time. But I can remember a time when the Old Navy logo used to look like this. So yeah, I told you there was going to be another one of those. That was the last one, I promise. At number 4, we've got Holy Cross, a logo very similar to the logo of St. Thomas, the Tommies that we just looked at last week. Holy Cross, home of the Crusaders, has also used this kind of like knight vibe going on, as you would imagine with a name like the Crusaders, which is why we can see in some of these old logos, just very awesome imagery and iconography going on with the knight. Simple, but beautiful, very effective. Huge fan. Holy Cross, more like holy crap, what a great logo.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Cracking into our top 3 logos, we are looking at Lehigh University, home of the Mountain Hawks. And for those that were clicking on this, waiting to see Army and Navy pop up, I think that there might be an equal, if not higher number of people waiting to see me talk about Lehigh and Lafayette. There are 2 teams that have been playing together since 1884, which is just 1 year after college football was established. So they have now officially played each other 159 times. Which is just ridiculous. And I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here because, I don't want to spoil anything for Lafayette. But Lehigh University here, just a gorgeous, beautiful logo. It's very sleek and it's moving forward, especially tied with the Mountain Hawk. It's kind of like going in a forward direction. There's so much energy to it and motion. And that hawk himself, it's just so awesome because he's kind of simple, right? He's just got like a nice, like bold outer stroke. He's not too detailed or anything too crazy. He's got a really aggressive, intense beak that he's about ready to like just chomp down. And he's got like kind of this spiky neck in the background, which gives him that forward momentum. And you tie those 2 things together with that hawk on top of that L, and it just looks awesome overall. This is just a beautiful design. It does look a little muddy in the colors. It kind of has like this like brown and kind of yellowy, muddy, dark kind of look to it. And it just looks a little undersaturated, like those colors are muted. I kind of want to see them pop a little bit more, and I would love to see just a little bit more color to this. I want that hawk to stand out against that kind of like lighter, sandier colored L behind it. They kind of all just sort of morph into one blob as opposed to one thing really popping out of the other one. So I think that this is great, but not perfect. It could just be tweaked a little bit in the color department to really make that Mountain Hawk shine. I think a team that does something same, but a little different to this. We just alluded to it. At number 2, we've got the Lafayette Leopards. Now, this is something that works a lot better for me in the idea of having like the L or the name for the school, L for Lafayette, and the mascot, that leopard, which is just kind of sneaking in the background, looking mischievous, but also intense and aggressive. And the 2 things really stand out from one another with that maroon L and then that kind of like sandy, darker leopard. Lafayette winning both the logo battle and the rivalry battle over Lehigh. Great year for Lafayette Leopard fans. And folks at home probably can figure out by now what we've got at number 1. But regardless, I encourage you to go ahead and like this video, comment down below if you've been enjoying it so far, and subscribe if you're new here. But at number 1, we've got the Black Knights here of the United States Military Academy, also known as Army, also known as one of the best logos in college athletics. Just from a design standpoint, it's just beautiful. A shield in the background with just incredible like imagery and iconography in front that really represents the school that this is serving, the mascot that plays there, and then images of what that mascot and what that institution represents. It's so perfect. We see that star down there that we had referenced when we were talking about military universities, and we see that helmet and that sword that kind of cross each other that, to me, in my mind, kind of represent the best of both worlds as far as showing the powerhouse of offense and defense that this university, the school, the institute, and the team itself represent. Army has always been great about utilizing all the details, all the images that represent the academy. They have always been great, and the current version that we see is timeless. It's beautiful, and the colors, we haven't even talked about the colors yet. The colors are gorgeous. Nothing negative I could say about this, or really half the logos in this collection that we've been looking at for the Patriot League. I mean, It's gorgeous. And even though we're coming at this with a football angle when we're talking about some of these logos, a number of these schools didn't even have a football program. So maybe you're learning about some of these schools in this collection for the first time. And I hope you enjoyed. If you did, again, be sure and leave a thumbs up. Be sure and go and subscribe if you're new here. Wishing everyone a great start to your holiday season. And if your team is still in the FCS playoffs, best of luck, unless they're playing the Grizzlies. And, I say this respectfully. Get bent. Love and appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for clicking. Thanks so much for hanging out. We will see you in the next video.